Hello everyone, I'm MJ and this is Just Plain Fun. This is video number 1 in a series where I'm going to start with $5 and I'm going to attempt to flip enough planes and parts to buy a new to me Lee Nielsen hand plane. You think I can do it? The concept for this series, let's call it the $5 challenge, actually started about 2 months ago. I was scrolling through some estate sale pictures one night, as one does, and lo and behold, I came across this. And I was like, wait a minute, that's a hand plane. I should probably try and go get that. The morning of the estate sale, I rolled out, got there about 2 hours early, because that's what you have to do if you want to get your first pick of stuff. And I immediately went right to the cabinet where I knew it was, and I found this number 5 hand plane. So almost like it's fate, this is my $5 number 5. And when I first got it, it did have the handle on it. More on that here in just a minute. But the more closer I got to looking at it, the more I realized, wait a minute, this is a perfect plane to part out because of that nice big fat braze right there. Let's call this one hand plane 0. And as I already mentioned, the first thing that came off was the tote. And let me show you what that looked like because it was pretty sweet. I got $35 for it. And before you get mad about guys like me charging $35 for a tote, just remember there are a whole lot more hand planes out there with broken totes than what there are with intact original totes. So supply and demand. Don't hate me for that. This is going to be our little tally sheet right here. So we sold the first part for 35 bucks. That's going to be our new balance. 35 bucks going forward. Time to find another hand plane. With my $35 in my pocket, I went to another estate sale a couple weeks later and I picked up this Type 11 number 4 and I paid $22 for it. Now, just like on the number 5, this one was complete when I got it, complete with this nice big chunk taken right out of the cheek right there. But it had a really sweet V logo blade on it. So that was the first thing to go. I got $25 for it. I'm going to show you a picture of that so you can see that it was definitely worth that. And I managed to sell the brass off of this one for another $8. We're already rolling in the dough at this point. If you're keeping track at home, that plane took us from our $35 to $46. That's what we're working with now. And we're going to try and find another hand plane. But keep in mind, I still have all those other parts left too. And I'm going to be putting those on the Just Plain Fun Shopify store. So look for those after this video. At this point, I got my $46. I'm out there looking for another hand plane. And I get a message from Dave Corinth. And he says, hey, there's a number 4 on eBay that you might want to check out. Because it's got a big chunk out of the cheek. And would y'all believe I paid $10 plus shipping for this number 4. Got it from North Carolina. So it's not a far cry for shipping up to Virginia. Only paid $12.75 for shipping. So I'm in this plane for $22.75. Remember, out of my 46. And look at all those good parts. It's got a solid intact rosewood tote. It's got a good sweetheart blade. It's got a decent lever cap on it. I mean, a little checking on the knob, but even that's worth, definitely worth saving. So this one's going to turn us out pretty good. And hey, by the way, also already sold the brass off of that. So another $8 there. That number 4 set us back $22.75, so we're sitting at $23.25, plus we got $8 out of that brass. So now we're sitting at $31.25 in our bankroll. Let's see what other tools we can find. It was another estate sale that took me across the James River, and anytime I go over there, there's this one particular thrift store that I like to hit. And I did, and I found this number 3 incomplete. It doesn't have, lever cap, doesn't have a blade, any of that, but it's got good brass on it. It's got a busted tote that could actually be repaired. And then, I don't know if I want to mess with this sole or not. I mean, maybe one of y'all does. If you do, you want to take a run at it, let me know, and we'll make that happen. But, also very cool, got this little hatchet head. And normally, I probably wouldn't have got it. But, this one is actually a Miller's Falls, behave it or not. Which, I have never even seen a Miller's Falls hatchet before. I'm going to either get this one cleaned up, or I might send it down to James Shaw and have him, rehang it, put another handle on it. And then, we're going to see if we can make some money off this little guy. And that's a little thrift store. And I forgot to mention, I only paid $4 for both of those. Because that's about what you can expect for thrift store prices. So that puts our bankroll at $27.25 now. For my Just Plain Fun regulars and returnees, you know that I just went to MWTCA back in June. Well, we were on the way back. We were at some random antique store in Indiana. And I came across this number 4. It's a bit of a Franken plane, but most importantly perhaps, it's got this big old gouge right there out of the mouth. So this is yet another candidate for parting out. Does have the broken tote, which is all too common with these. But just like the other planes, it's got some really good parts still on it. and some parts that you're going to see on Shopify in the coming days. And speaking of Shopify, I am thrilled to announce that Just Plain Fun is actually teaming up with Plain Wellness, and we are going to be carrying the Plain Wellness t-shirts on the Just Plain Fun Shopify. So while you're there looking at some of these hand plane parts, maybe looking at some JPF merchandise, make sure you check out these Plain Wellness shirts as well. That number 4 that I got at the antique store set me back 14 bucks. So we're kind of cash poor at $13.25, but we've got 5 pretty solid planes full of parts and a hatchet head. So I think we're going to make some headway in this. Y'all make sure you check them out on Shopify. To keep an eye on the prize, I did borrow this empty Lee Nielsen box from somebody just so that I'd have a prop for the video. But hey, shout out to all the Just Plain Fun patrons. I can't thank y'all enough. Couldn't do this without you. For everybody watching it, I appreciate it. And let's see how long it takes to flip enough parts to get a Lee Nielsen plane.